Bye-bye majority, the ANC feels the heat. The political landscape in South Africa is undergoing a seismic shift. South Africa, land of sunshine, bright eye and coalition governments? Yes, you heard that right. The winds of change are blowing through the Rainbow Nation. That's right, folks. Things just got interesting down in Mzansi. The political scene is buzzing with new energy and possibilities. For the first time since apartheid ended, the African National Congress, or ANC, lost its parliamentary majority. This is a monumental moment in South African history. May's election was a real shake-up. Voters were clearly ready for something different. The message was loud and clear. Change is needed. The ANC has been in charge since 1994. That's a long time in politics. Over 2 decades of dominance, but now the tides are turning. They were the party that led South Africans out of the darkness of apartheid. Their role in shaping modern South Africa cannot be understated. Nelson Mandela, the father of our nation, was an ANC man. His legacy is intertwined with the party's history. But even heroes can lose their shine. The party has been plagued by scandals. Corruption, mismanagement and broken promises have eroded public trust. Corruption has become a real problem. And let's not even get started on the never-ending blackouts, known as load shedding. These power cuts have left many South Africans in the dark, both literally and figuratively. People are fed up. They want jobs, they want electricity, and they want a government that works for them. The frustration is palpable, and the demand for change is undeniable. This election result, it's a wake-up call. The ANC needs to get its act together. The days of taking voters' support for granted are over, or else they might find themselves kicked to the curb. The opposition parties are ready to step in and offer alternatives. The political future of South Africa is at a crossroads, and the choices made now will shape the nation for years to come. Coalition governments could become the new norm. Parties will need to work together, negotiate and find common ground to govern effectively. The power is shifting back to the people. Community engagement and grassroots movements are gaining momentum. South Africans are reclaiming their voice and demanding accountability. The youth, in particular, are a driving force for change. They are more informed, more connected, and more determined than ever to shape their future. Despite the challenges, there is a sense of hope, a belief that together, South Africans can build a brighter, more inclusive future. The journey ahead won't be easy, but the spirit of resilience and unity will guide the way. The ANC feels the heat, but this is just the beginning. The story of South Africa is still being written, and every citizen has a role to play in shaping its next chapter. Fed up. Why South Africans demanded change. Let's be real, life in South Africa isn't always sunshine and roses. We have struggles just like anywhere else. Unemployment is a massive problem, especially for young people. It feels like there are no opportunities, no matter how hard you try.
And then there's the inequality. The gap between rich and poor is massive. It feels like the wealth of this nation is stuck in the hands of a select few, while many struggle just to put food on the table. Load shedding has become a fact of life. Imagine, the lights go out for hours every single day. Businesses suffer, people suffer. It's beyond frustrating. The ANC promised change, but it never seemed to come. People started to lose hope. That's why this election felt different. South Africans were ready to try something new. They were tired of empty promises. They wanted action.
New sheriff in town, the GNU takes charge. The political landscape in South Africa was about to undergo a seismic shift. So, with the ANC on the ropes, a new era began. The African National Congress, once the unchallenged powerhouse, found itself in a precarious position. Enter the Government of National Unity, or GNU for short. This was not just a new government, it was a new way of thinking. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but it represents something significant, a coalition government. A coalition that aimed to bring together the best minds from across the political spectrum. But it represents something significant, a coalition government. This coalition was more than just a political maneuver. It was a symbol of unity and hope for a nation in turmoil.
The ANC had to swallow its pride and reach out to other parties. This was no small feat for a party that had been at the helm for so long. They formed an alliance with their biggest rival, the Democratic Alliance, or DA. This was a historic moment, a coming together of two political giants. And let me tell you, that's like the Sharks and the Bulls teaming up in rugby. Imagine the fierce competitors setting aside their differences for a common goal. Unthinkable. But they weren't alone. Other smaller parties also saw the potential for change and joined the GNU. Smaller parties also joined the GNU, creating a real mixed bag of political views. This was a melting pot of ideologies, each bringing something unique to the table. It was messy, it was chaotic, but somehow they pulled it off. The debates were intense, the disagreements were many, but the common goal kept them together. The GNU promised a fresh start, a chance to fix South Africa's problems together. This was a new dawn, a new chapter in the country's history. It was a bold experiment. And, honestly, no one knew if it would work. The stakes were high, and the world was watching. Would these rivals be able to put aside their differences for the good of the nation? Only time would tell. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the hope was that unity would prevail over division.
Section 4, good vibes only, early wins for the coalition.
In the beginning, there was a lot of hope in the air. You could feel it. People were cautiously optimistic. Could this be the change they'd been waiting for?
The honeymoon phase for any new government is always a bit sweet.
And the GNU didn't disappoint. At least not at first. Public approval ratings soared, the economy showed signs of life. And hold on to your hats, folks, the lights stayed on. Load shedding was tackled head-on.
Businesses breathed a sigh of relief. People actually had electricity. It felt like South Africa was finally catching a break.
The GNU was riding high, but as we all know, nothing lasts forever, especially in politics. Section 5, can't we all just get along? Internal squabbles emerge. In this section, we delve into the internal conflicts that have started to surface within the South African political landscape. The coalition government, which was initially seen as a beacon of hope, is now facing significant challenges.
Remember that whole coalition thing? It was supposed to bring together different political factions to work towards a common goal. Yeah, well, it turns out that working with your political rivals isn't always easy. Who knew? The initial optimism has given way to a series of disagreements and conflicts.
The GNU started facing some serious internal tensions. These tensions were not just minor squabbles, but deep-rooted issues that threatened the very fabric of the coalition. It started with whispers, disagreements behind closed doors. These whispers soon grew louder and the disagreements became more pronounced. Then the arguments spilled out into the open. What was once a united front began to show cracks, and the public started to take notice.
One of the biggest fights was over education. Education is a critical issue, and the differing views on how it should be managed led to heated debates. The ANC and DA have very different views on how schools should be run. The ANC believes in a centralized system while the DA advocates for more local control. The DA pushed for more autonomy for schools and parents. They argued that local communities should have a say in how their schools are run. The ANC, on the other hand, favored a more centralized approach. They believed that a unified system would ensure equal opportunities for all students.
And then there was the National Health Insurance Scheme. This was another major point of contention within the coalition. The ANC's big plan to provide universal healthcare. They envisioned a system where everyone would have access to quality healthcare, regardless of their financial situation. Sounds great on paper, right? However, the implementation of such a plan is fraught with challenges. But the DA had major concerns about how it would be funded and implemented. They questioned the feasibility of the plan and whether it would be sustainable in the long run.
These clashes highlighted the fragility of the GNU. The coalition was supposed to be a symbol of unity, but these disagreements showed just how fragile that unity was. These weren't just minor disagreements, these were fundamental differences in ideology. Each party had its own vision for the country, and reconciling these visions proved to be a daunting task. These were fundamental differences in ideology. The ANC and DA had different priorities and different ways of achieving their goals. It felt like the coalition was walking a tightrope. Every decision, every policy was a balancing act. One wrong step and the whole thing could come crashing down. One wrong step and the whole thing could come crashing down. The future of the coalition remains uncertain, and only time will tell if they can overcome these challenges and work together for the good of the country.